The irresistible power of indifference. Most men are slaves to validation. They chase approval, they beg for attention, and in doing so, they become invisible. Some men walk into a room and without saying a word, they own it. Eyes follow them. Conversations shift. They command attention effortlessly. But what makes them different? Is it their looks, their wealth, their charm, number? It's something far more rare, their ability to remain unshaken. These men don't chase, they don't beg for approval. Yet, they are the ones who get noticed, respected, and pursued. Why? Because the most desirable men aren't the ones who try the hardest. They're the ones who are the hardest to impress, the hardest to shake, and the hardest to get. Ever noticed how the men who care the least about attention often get the most of it? That's not an accident, it's a strategy. See, the moment you stop chasing validation, people start seeking yours. The moment you stop proving your worth, the world starts to recognize it. And today, I'll show you 7 habits that will turn you into a man of discipline, control, and unshakable presence. The kind of man women can't ignore. Not because you try to be attractive, but because you've mastered the one thing that makes you truly powerful: absolute control over yourself. Let's begin. Why power comes from control, not effort. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire in history, yet he never let power control him. Surrounded by chaos, betrayal, and war, he remained unshaken. While others reacted emotionally, he observed, calculated, and responded only when necessary. And that's what made him untouchable. Now, think about modern men. Most fail because they try too hard. They chase, they seek validation, they mistake effort for attraction. But here's the truth. Women are not drawn to effort. They're drawn to certainty. A man who is calm, composed, and in control signals strength. The kind that can't be ignored. No chasing, no explaining, no proving yourself. Because a man who doesn't seek approval becomes the man people seek approval from. And that's what this video is about. If you want to command respect, captivate effortlessly, and make people gravitate toward you, keep watching. Because I'm about to break down 7 habits that will change the way women see you, without you saying a word. Habit 1. Do not react, only act. There is power in restraint. Throughout history, the most respected and influential men weren't the loudest, the most reactive, or the most emotional. They were the ones who could remain calm, calculated, and completely in control of their actions, no matter what was happening around them. Think about Marcus Aurelius. As Emperor of Rome, he faced betrayals, wars, and political chaos, yet he never reacted emotionally. Instead, he observed, reflected, and responded only when necessary. That's what made him untouchable. Now, apply this to your own life. When you react impulsively, whether in an argument, a social situation, or when facing rejection, you show that you are easily controlled by external forces. And a man who is easily controlled is never truly powerful. The power of non-reaction. Women are not drawn to men who are easily provoked. They are drawn to men who remain unshaken, self-assured, and in control of themselves. Every time you react emotionally to a situation, you give away your power. If a woman tests you, trying to get a rise out of you, and you react emotionally, you fail the test. If someone disrespects you and you immediately lash out to defend yourself, you expose your insecurity. If you let external factors dictate your mood, confidence, or energy, you show weakness. But the man who pauses, thinks, and responds only when necessary instantly commands respect and intrigue. When people can't predict you, they lean in closer. They want to figure you out. And that's how you create attraction without saying a word. How to apply this to your life? 1. Pause before reacting. Whenever you face criticism, disrespect, or emotional challenges, take a deep breath. Delay your response. The longer you take, the more powerful you appear. 2. Remain unshaken by emotional tests. Women will test your strength, not to break you, but to see if you are truly confident. When you stay calm, collected, and composed, you pass every test without effort. 3. Master the art of silence. Most men talk too much, defend themselves too quickly, and try too hard to explain their worth. The more you over-explain, justify, or react impulsively, the weaker you appear. Speak less, but make every word count. A man who does not react emotionally is a man who cannot be controlled. But mastering your reactions is just step 1. True power comes when you master something even deeper, your emotions. Because a man who can control how he feels, controls the world around him. That's where habit number 2 comes in. Emotional discipline. Because the man who controls his emotions controls his world. Habit 2. Control your emotions. Never let anyone disrupt your mindset. In a world full of emotional chaos, the man who remains calm and composed stands out. Most people are slaves to their emotions, reacting impulsively, getting frustrated easily, and allowing external factors to dictate their mood. But the most respected and powerful men throughout history knew one thing: if you control your emotions, you control the situation. Marcus Aurelius, the master of emotional discipline. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers and rulers of Rome, faced betrayal, war, and constant political manipulation. Yet, he never allowed emotions to dictate his decisions. Instead, he practiced journaling, a daily habit of writing down his thoughts, fears, and frustrations to gain control over his mind. Through this practice, he developed unshakable composure. This allowed him to face any situation with calmness and precision rather than emotional reaction. This principle remains true today. The power of emotional control. If you are easily affected by criticism, rejection, or negativity, you are easy to manipulate. A man who loses control of his emotions loses control of himself. Women don't respect or admire men who are too emotional, too reactive, or too easily frustrated. Why? Because it signals instability, insecurity, and a lack of leadership. They want a man who can handle pressure, remain calm under stress, and make decisions based on logic, not emotions. When you control your emotions, people naturally respect you more, trust you more, and feel drawn to your energy. How to apply this to your life? 1. Journal every morning. Write down your thoughts, worries, and emotions to clear your mind and gain perspective. This habit alone can dramatically reduce overreactions and impulsive emotions. 2. Pause before responding emotionally. If something triggers you, don't react immediately. Take a deep breath, analyze the situation logically, and only respond if necessary. 3. Detach from emotional manipulation. Understand that most people will try to get a reaction out of you, especially in relationships. The more unshaken you are, the more powerful you become. A man who controls his emotions can never be manipulated, but mastering emotional control is just the foundation. The next step? Knowing your value and making others chase you. Because when you stop seeking validation and start commanding respect, everything changes. That brings us to habit number 3. Owning your value and letting others pursue you. Habit 3. Own your value. Stop chasing, let others chase you. Picture this. 2 men walk into a room. One is desperate for approval, laughing too hard, trying too much. The other? He's calm, composed, indifferent. Guess who everyone notices? Think about the men who effortlessly attract attention in business, in social circles, and in relationships. They don't seek validation. They don't try to prove themselves. They don't beg for recognition. Instead, they own their value. They operate with the belief that their time, attention, and presence are not for everyone. And because of that, people naturally gravitate toward them. Why selective indifference makes you more attractive? The moment you start chasing approval, you instantly lower your worth. When you're too eager, people assume there's nothing special about you. When you try to win someone over, it signals that you don't see yourself as valuable enough. When you constantly seek reassurance, it shows insecurity, but the opposite is also true. The moment you act as if you don't need external approval, people start craving it from you. Women, employers, and high-status individuals naturally respect men who know their worth and refuse to compromise it. Because if you don't see yourself as valuable, no one else will. How to apply this to your life? 1. Set higher standards for yourself. Focus on self-improvement, whether it's physically, mentally, or financially. Surround yourself with people who push you forward, not those who drain your energy. 2. Stop seeking approval. When you walk into a room, act as if you already belong. Because confidence isn't given, it's assumed. Speak with certainty, move with purpose, and never over-explain your worth. 3. Never lower your standards to please others. If someone disrespects your time or energy, walk away without hesitation. A man who knows his worth doesn't bend over backwards just to be liked. He stands firm in who he is. The less you seek approval, the more people will offer it to you. The moment you stop chasing, you become the one people want to pursue. But to truly amplify your presence, there's one more thing you need: mystery. Which brings us to habit number 4, the power of mystery. Why less is always more. Habit 4. Master the power of mystery. Say less, attract more. There's a reason Leonardo DiCaprio has remained one of the most desirable men in Hollywood for decades. It's not just his looks, it's not just his fame, it's the fact that he remains a mystery. Unlike many celebrities who overshare their lives on social media, DiCaprio keeps a low profile. He doesn't give constant updates, he doesn't explain himself, and he never seems desperate for attention. And because of that, people can't stop talking about him, speculating about him, and wanting to know more. This isn't luck, it's strategy. The men who overshare, talk too much, and explain everything about themselves lose their allure. But the men who remain just out of reach, who reveal only what they choose, when they choose, create an air of intrigue that makes them irresistible. The psychology of mystery. Humans are wired to crave the unknown. If something is too predictable, it becomes boring. If someone reveals everything about themselves, there's nothing left to discover. But if someone holds back just enough, they become a puzzle that people can't resist solving. This is especially true in attraction. Women don't fall for men who reveal everything about their feelings, their past, and their plans within the first conversation. They fall for men who make them wonder. They fall for men who aren't too easy to read, too easy to get, or too eager to explain themselves. How to apply this to your life? 1. Speak less, observe more. Instead of filling every silence, let people ask more questions. The less you say, the more power your words carry. 2. Don't reveal everything at once. Keep details about your life, goals, and emotions gradual and selective. Let people earn deeper access to you. 3. Be unpredictable. Don't let people always know what you're thinking, feeling, or doing. Surprise them, not by being random, but by being unreadable. When you control what people know about you, you control how they perceive you. And once you become a man of mystery, people start chasing your attention instead of taking it for granted. But mystery alone isn't enough. You also need discipline and structure, which brings us to habit number 5, the power of discipline. How strong boundaries make you more attractive. Habit 5. Discipline. A man of rules is never ordinary. Throughout history, the most powerful men were not the strongest or the loudest. They were the most disciplined. Think about the Spartans, the legendary warriors of ancient Greece. They weren't just feared because of their combat skills. They were feared because of their unyielding discipline. They lived by a strict code. They followed structured routines. They trained their minds and bodies relentlessly. And because of that, they became unstoppable. The same principle applies today. A man without discipline is a man without respect. If you can't control your habits, your impulses, and your time, how can anyone take you seriously? If you live without structure, if you let distractions dictate your day, how can you ever be in control of your life? Why discipline commands? Respect. Discipline separates leaders from followers. A man who stays committed to his goals, his routine, and his self-improvement earns respect naturally. A man who lacks discipline, constantly makes excuses, and has no direction is easily ignored. Women, business partners, and even your own mind will not respect a man who can't control himself. But a man who has rules for himself, who follows through on his commitments, and who stays on his path no matter what, that's the man people admire. That's the man people follow. How to apply this to your life? 1. Train your body and mind every day. Your body reflects your discipline. Work out, eat right, and stay sharp. Your mind controls your future. Read, learn, and stay ahead. 2. Create a fixed schedule and stick to it. Have a morning routine, a workout routine, and a work schedule that you do not break. Be uncompromising with your time, because if you don't respect it, no one else will. 3. Eliminate weakness from your lifestyle. Cut out excuses, laziness, and distractions that hold you back. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you become stronger and more respected. Discipline is not about being rigid. It's about being in control. And when you become a man of unshakable structure, you gain unshakable presence. But there's one final piece that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary: understanding the reality of time and mortality. That brings us to habit number 6, Memento Mori, the power of living with urgency. Habit number 6, Memento Mori, remember, you will die. There's a reason Roman emperors had a servant whisper in their ear during victory parades, Memento Mori, remember, you will die. At the height of their power, when they were being celebrated as gods, they were reminded of one undeniable truth. Life is temporary. Everything you build, every moment you experience, every opportunity you waste, it all ends. You are running out of time. Right now, your heart is beating. One day, it will stop. No warning, no second chance. The question is, did you live or did you hesitate? Or would you finally take action, knowing there's no tomorrow? But the man who truly understands his mortality, he becomes unstoppable. Why facing death frees you from fear? Imagine this. If you had exactly 1 year left to live, would you still waste time worrying about what others think? Would you keep tolerating mediocrity, or would you finally act without hesitation? Memento Mori is not about fearing death. It's about using death as a reminder to live fully, to stop postponing action, stop playing it safe, and start making every second count. Because when you deeply accept that you will die, something inside you changes. You stop hesitating because waiting no longer makes sense. You stop fearing failure because in the end, regret is worse than any mistake. you stop chasing meaningless things, because time is too short to waste on validation, approval, or impressing the wrong people. Most men live in fear of rejection, criticism, and judgment, but ask yourself, will any of that matter when you're gone? This is why the most powerful men in history, from Marcus Aurelius to modern-day leaders, move differently. They act with urgency. They don't waste time. They focus on what truly matters. And because of that, they achieve what others only dream of. 1. Every morning ask yourself, if today were my last day, what would I do? Stop delaying the things that matter, your goals, your ambitions, your personal growth. Treat every day as if it's your only shot, because one day it will be. 2. Let go of trivial distractions. Stop worrying about what people think, temporary failures, or social validation. Focus only on what aligns with your purpose and long-term vision. 3. Live with urgency. Take action immediately on your dreams, on self-improvement, on making your presence felt. Stop playing it safe, because playing it safe is the fastest way to waste a life. A man who embraces Memento Mori is a man who moves through life fearlessly, purposefully, and without regret. And when you develop this mindset, you unlock the final piece of the puzzle, understanding that not everything deserves your time, energy, or attention. That's where habit number 7 comes in, learning to say no and setting unbreakable boundaries. Habit 7. Learn to say no. People don't respect a man who always says yes. A man who says yes to everything is a man with no control over his life. Most men struggle to set boundaries because they think saying yes makes them more likable, more accepted, and more respected. But here's the reality. People only respect what is valuable. And if you're always available, always accommodating, always saying yes, you are telling the world that your time, energy, and presence have no value. The men who command respect set boundaries. The most powerful and respected men in history, whether warriors, emperors, or business leaders, had one thing in common. They knew what to say no to. They didn't allow trivial distractions to consume their time. They didn't bend over backward to please everyone. They didn't apologize for protecting their energy. Weak men, on the other hand, they say yes to avoid conflict. They say yes because they fear being disliked. They say yes because they think being agreeable makes them more attractive. But in reality, being too agreeable makes you invisible. People respect the men who stand their ground, not the ones who can be convinced to do anything. The psychology of saying no. When you say no, something powerful happens. People start respecting your time. Women find you more attractive because you're not desperate to please. You become the one who chooses instead of being chosen. Saying no is not about being difficult. It's about taking control of your life. If you don't set your own limits, the world will do it for you. How to apply this to your life? 1. Practice saying no without guilt. The next time someone asks for your time or energy, pause and ask yourself, does this benefit me? If the answer is no, decline politely but firmly, without over-explaining. 2. Set clear boundaries. If someone crosses your line, address it immediately. Weak men let things slide. Strong men enforce their standards. 3. Prioritize yourself first. Every yes should align with your goals, your standards, and your values. If it doesn't, it's a no. The moment you start saying no to things that don't serve you, people start valuing your time, your presence, and your decisions. But all of these habits, emotional control, discipline, mystery, and boundaries, only work if you embody them fully. Which brings us to the final lesson: how to bring everything together and become unshakable. You now have 7 powerful habits that separate ordinary men from those who command respect effortlessly. These are not just concepts, they are strategies used by the most disciplined, unshakable, and magnetic men in history. Let's recap. The 7 habits of men who master indifference. 1. Control your reactions instead of acting impulsively. Weak men react emotionally. Strong men pause, assess, and act with intention. 2. Master emotional discipline. Never let others control your mind. The moment you control your emotions, you control every situation. 3. Own your value. Stop seeking approval. If you don't see yourself as valuable, no one else will. 4. Master the power of mystery. Say less, attract more. The less people know about you, the more they want to know. 5. Discipline is power. A man without structure is a man without respect. Weak men break their own rules. Strong men live by them. 6. Memento Mori. Remember, you will die. Time is limited. Stop hesitating, stop seeking validation, and start living with urgency. 7. Learn to say no. No one respects a man who always says yes. If you say yes to everything, you stand for nothing. Set boundaries and enforce them. One question to think about. Do you control your life, or do you let life control you? Because the truth is, most men are controlled by emotions, distractions, and external validation. But the men who practice these 7 habits, they become the ones who set the tone, lead the room, and attract respect without effort. It's not enough to understand these habits, you must apply them. Start today. Implement these habits in your daily life. Watch how people start treating you differently. Most men will hear this and do nothing. And a year from now, they'll still be invisible, still chasing, still overlooked. Don't be like them. Make your move, now. You have 2 choices. Apply these habits and take control, or keep fading into the background like every other man.